We decided to sell because we'd gotten to a point where it wasn't doing for us what we thought it would be doing, making us millions, but we also were at the place where my husband just didn't have time for the maintenance. I'd gotten to the point where I really wasn't interested in taking on that role of having to find tradespeople, it was just time. It was time to step back and focus on more important things within a very busy life. So we just said, market's good at the moment, let's just get rid of it, and it just felt right. I was really under the impression that for us to be able to sell it for any decent amount of money, we would have to do all of this maintenance, and it became, you know, such a weight to try and contact tradespeople who wouldn't contact you back, trying to find quotes, and the quotes would be horrendous. But then someone dropped into my lap this little analogy of pants and shoes, and it suddenly all became very clear that we could stress ourselves to the max trying to make this sow's ear look like a silk purse, and it never was. And any improvements that we were going to make were not going to make that much difference to the bottom line, just the stress level.
Okay.
So that was the biggest concern, and when that was sort of put into the bigger picture, it just took the weight off, and we just felt, hang it, let's just make it look as neat as it can and go through the process. The idea of going to auction, I guess, was one that was a bit foreign, that anything we had to do with real estate, people go in, they look at a house, they go back 3 or 4 times, they have another look, they get a pest and building, and you know, it's this whole lengthy, but that was the process. Whereas I think I had the idea that an auction was a bit of a fire sale, was just flog it off for what you could get for it. But that wasn't the case. In the market that we were selling, it was potentially the best way for us to sell. And the way it worked out, with an auction coming up reasonably quickly, that the whole process from go to woe for us was quite quick, which is, I think, what we needed in the place we were at the time. We didn't want the drawn out process. We didn't want the going backwards and forwards and the having it being something that is foremost in your mind for an extended period of time. So that auction process for us worked very well. It got it over and done with. That sign on the bottom line, I mean, not to say it wasn't a bit stressful, and Darren recognised that and had to say, Sue, breathe, just breathe, it's fine, don't worry, you know, everything will work out. And it did. And once we had that and we had time to sit back and look at the amount we'd sold for, the amount we could potentially have spent on that place trying to make it look like something, it was just, you know, this is a great outcome for us. We had the conversations around, was it okay, if we had waited a number of years, we would have made a lot more losses on it, but it also still would have been that thing that was there in the background needing our attention. And for us, we're grandparents, we are a few years away from retirement, and we're looking ahead to where we want to be at that point. And at retirement, we don't want to have the burden of having, for us, having a rental property that requires maintenance, it requires our time, it requires our, you know, we just want to be in a place where we can relax, we can enjoy our grandchildren. The time we do have available will be devoted to us, our grandchildren, doing the things we want to do, rather than, oh, Dennis, you're not working this Saturday afternoon on one of your 2 half days off a week and having to go down and repair something. It was the right thing for us at this point in our lives. I guess the main thing for us was that we have limited time. Everything that happened, that Darren led us through, happened around our schedule. There were meetings at 8 o'clock at night, because that's the time that worked, and we would sit around and have a cup of coffee, have a laugh, but also go through the things that we needed to understand very clearly. No question was too stupid. No concern was not worthy of being addressed. We very much felt very supported, very comfortable. We met Darren just through local walkabouts, and we started talking a couple of years ago, and I never ever felt that I was being pushed to sell a house, that I was being, you know, oh, if you ever want to sell, you know, here's my card. I always felt that it was just out of a genuine interest for Shayla Park, the real estate market in the neighbourhood. He talked to us about what we were doing with our house here. We talked about kids, we talked about, and over the time, by the time we came to sell, we felt like we were dealing with a friend. It wasn't like we felt like we had to do anything. We could talk about everything. Everything was easy. And that's what I would recommend Darren to anyone. We will pass his card around because we had such a good experience.